How law firm owners can write off international travel. If you're interested in this, you are at the right place. All right, so my wife and I always talk about traveling internationally. Who doesn't? Who doesn't dream about that? Rome, Paris, Greece, African safari, Philippines, Thailand, Bali, fill in all the other places that you might want to go. I'm sure you have a list just like everybody else. And of course, when I think of it, I immediately think, how can I write this off? It is possible, and I'm going to show you how right now. First, importantly, writing off travel outside the US is not the same as writing off travel in the US. All right, got to make sure you follow the rules to take advantage of the strategy. And within the context of international travel, there are 5 different types. Each has its own sort of set of rules. We're going to talk about all 5 today. There is travel for 1 week or less internationally. There's travel for more than a week internationally. There is luxury water travel, which I actually didn't know about until I was, dove into this little tax code. Conventions, conferences, those types of things, and cruises. We're going to talk about all of them, right? Before I get into all this, I thought I might tell you a little bit about myself so you know who I am and you know that I know what I'm talking about. Hey, that's me. Looks the same as the guy on the video, right? My name is Christopher Small. I'm the owner of Big Bird Accounting, and we do accounting. And we do bookkeeping and tax strategy for law firm owners exclusively. So our clients are only law firm owners. I'm not a CPA. I'm a tax attorney, and I also own a law firm. I'm both. Okay? Why is this so important? First, I'm not trained to fill in tax forms like a CPA. I am trained to interpret the rules and analyze court decisions to help our clients save as much as possible on their taxes. That probably makes sense to you guys. And because I own a law firm too, I know exactly the challenges you face, the tax strategies that are helpful to you, and how much you despise being hands-on with this stuff. I know this because I am just like you, except I'm a tax nerd, and I actually like learning about the stuff. I like implementing these strategies. I like saving money, and I like saving people just like you money as well. All right. At Big Bird, we only work with law firm owners. There are some advantages to this. Okay. We have a lot of data on what law firm owners are doing, what is working, what is not, how much the successful firms are spending on marketing, on human resources, on different things like that, which means we can also give strategic business advice related to your books to help your firm be super profitable. It's a win-win. Okay. And with that being said, if you're already not excited about hearing about all these different rules and wish someone would just tell you what to do, I have good news. Our clients can literally just email me and say, I want to go to Paris for a week. How can I write this off? And I tell them, okay? So you don't actually have to understand or know the ins and outs of all of these strategies. You can just have somebody on your team that tells you how to do it. Someone like us, okay? And guess what? It's not extra, okay? It's all baked into one low monthly investment, which pays for itself in a tax savings you receive. So translation, we do flat fees, okay? And they're extremely reasonable. Okay, if you're curious about what we can do, then let's chat. Go to bigbirdaccounting.com. Now let's get into everything else, okay? Oh, and if you want a cheat sheet on this, I put together a little cheat sheet again. You don't have to take a bunch of notes. Just go to the link right there, bigbirdaccounting.com/training, and you'll see this video. You'll also see a corresponding little checklist or cheat sheet that you can use for a quick reference. And that training section is also going to be all the other trainings that we have. And then in the future, there'll be more trainings, as I build them out, basically. Okay. It is 100% free to go to the /training website. You don't even have to give your email address. Okay. You literally you want the cheat sheet, you click the button and it pops up. Okay. Back to writing off your international travel. Why might a law firm owner travel internationally for business? Hint, hint, I'm giving you the excuse to write this thing off, okay? Number one, the easiest one, the most obvious one, conferences and CLE. Okay, there are CLEs all over the world. There are legal conferences all over the world. There are business and marketing and advertising conferences all over the world that you can go to. So remember, as a law firm owner, your conference schedule doesn't only have to include legal topics. It can include anything that's relevant to you running your business. Okay, leadership, management, advertising, marketing, HR. Who would want to go to an HR conference? But you could, all right? All of these things apply. Mastermind events. If you are not, having conversations and sort of rubbing shoulders, elbows or shoulders, you're not rubbing arm parts with other business owners, talking about what's working, getting motivated and doing all these different things, you're missing out. Okay, so mastermind events, they're often held or can be held internationally as well. Work. Some of you actually do international work. Okay, you can do international business. I know a guy that does franchise agreement review for companies around the world. That may take you around the world for your travel. Work is obviously the easiest one. Okay, here's the general rule for international travel. Okay, if you spend the entire time on business, you can deduct all of your travel expenses. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Definition time, always in italics. Okay, so you see on business and travel expenses, these are defined. Okay, all of your time on business. Okay, so what makes a day a business day? Right. First, if your entire work day, if if you're working for 8 hours on your business, then that's a business day. Now, this is probably not going to fly if you travel to Ibiza. I'm definitely getting off track here. If you travel to Spain and you sit outside and answer emails all day, I don't know if that's going to be necessarily business related because you didn't have to travel to do that business. But if you go to a conference all day, if you have business meetings all day, that type of stuff, business. Okay. If the principal activity during the day is business, so if it's a 3-hour conference, that probably qualifies, right? If it's a 2-hour work meeting, that probably qualifies. Okay, just some pictures here to break up all this text. Okay, so we got some business meetings, we got some people doing some things, we got a conference going on. Okay, number 3, if your presence is required, regardless of how much time is actually spent. So if you are taking a deposition and it's only going to be 10 minutes, or if you're taking a deposition and you are the lead attorney, you're not even doing it, you're managing partner or something like that. This makes sense. Okay, pretty clear. And a business day is also travel to and from your destination. That's a business day. Okay, now definition time again. What are travel expenses? Just so we're really clear, okay? Travel expenses are going to include transportation expenses, okay, which are going to be like airfare. If you take a cab to the airport, if you take a cab anywhere to your meetings and things like that, your hotel and your meals, all meals are 50% all the time, no matter what. So if they're business meals, they're always going to be 50%. In the US, out of the US, always 50%. Okay, so now that we know all that, it's strategy time. Did you know that weekends can be considered business days as well if you conduct zero, or even if you conduct zero business on the weekend? It is a fact. It is in the IRS regs. It is true. Okay, how can you do that? If you have a business purpose on Friday and Monday, the weekend counts as business days if you're traveling, for sure. Okay, so what's the point here? If you can, sandwich the meetings or sandwich the weekends between your business activities to have fun and get a write-off too. Because here's the thing, not only can you write your meals off during the weekend, but you can write your hotel expenses, you can write your travel expenses, okay? All these different things you can write off, or your transportation. Okay, you're probably thinking, okay, but what about when the trip isn't all business? Okay, what if we're not going to be someplace for 5 straight business days? What if it's 3 days of business and 2 days of fun? Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay, sometimes the IRS still considers it business, 100% business for transportation expenses. Remember, that's what we're talking about here. Okay. Oh, note, the following is only for transportation expenses, hotel and meals are only written off on business days with the example that we're talking about. Okay. And that is sort of our first international travel category, which is a business trip that is 7 days or less. Okay, if you are traveling for business and your trip is 7 days or less, even if it's 1 day, one business meeting, then all of your airfare and all of your transportation to and from the airport to and from your hotel on your business day is going to be considered a write-off. Okay, when you're doing this, when you're calculating your 7 days, you don't count the day that you leave because you're in the US, but you do count the day that you come back. All right, so the IRS is basically trying to give you an extra day in your destination before you have to come back. So, for example, you go from New York to London for a business conference. You leave on Monday and you come back on Tuesday. Okay, so this is 8 days. Okay, and you're going to fit in a networking meeting on that Monday before you leave on Tuesday. Okay, the conference is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This trip is considered entirely for business, and you can write off 100% of the airfare and the transportation. Also, the hotel, in this case, you can write off pretty much all of the hotel because of that Monday business meeting. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. You're leaving on Monday, and you're coming back on Tuesday. So your Monday travel day from New York to London does not count as business. Okay. Because it's just, you don't have to count that. So you can go, now you're going to go from Tuesday to Tuesday. All right. Tuesday, I guess technically in this circumstance, Tuesday would be considered a non-business day because you're not doing any business on Tuesday. But then you have your conference on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But here's the thing, although your travel day, this is great, your travel day from New York to London, although it's not counted for your 7 days of international travel, it is still considered to be a business day. Okay, so you're traveling. Then your hotel on the Tuesday night could be getting ready for your conference on Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, conference, clearly business. Then you have that Monday meeting, so Saturday and Sunday also count as business days. And then you're going to leave on Tuesday, which is another business day. Write it all off. Let's go. All of your hotel, all of your airfare, and then your transportation related to your business. Now, if you don't have the Monday meeting, you can still write off 100% of the airfare and transportation because you're under 7 days, but you can only write your hotel off for those days that are business days. Okay. So see how little tax planning can go a long way. You can write all those extra hotel days off, basically take a 30% discount on them if you can expense them. That's what we want to do. Okay. Number 2, this is the second rule, which is travel longer than 7 days. So the IRS considers it 100% business travel for your travel expenses if your international trip is more than 7 days and less than 25% of your travel days are personal days. Okay, pretty straightforward. In this instance, though, you do count the day you left. They're trying to give you an extra business day, and you count the return. Okay, so they're trying to increase your percentage by giving you that extra travel day for business, if it counts as a business day. So in this example, New York to London for 14 days this time, including your travel days. You have business on 11 of the days, fun on 3 of the days. Okay, and by the way, let's assume you sandwiched in a Monday meeting in there. So although technically you're having fun on 5 days, it only counts as 3. Because your personal time was 21%, which is 3 divided by 14, so 3 fun days, 3 non-business days divided by 14, you can deduct 100% of your airfare and transportation in 11 days, hotel meals, etc. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, what if you are over 25% on personal days? You don't have to completely take the trip as a personal trip and can't write off any of it, but they want you to use the formula to figure out what you get to write off. Right. The business percentage of the trip, essentially. Okay. For example, New York to London for 14 days. This is the same thing, but now you're having fun on 4 days instead of 3. So let's say you forgot to book that Monday meeting, and so your weekends now count. Because your personal time is now 28%, which is 4 divided by 14, you can only deduct 72% of your airfare and transportation, and then the same, your hotel, 10 days for your hotel meals, etc. So you see how a little bit of planning can have a significant difference on your tax strategy, on your tax savings. This is why you want to plan and think about this stuff just a little bit, or ask your local tax pro. Okay. All right. Now, what if you're adventurous and you don't want to fly from New York to London? You want to go on a boat. All right. This is what's going to be called luxury water travel. Okay. The third sort of international tax element covered by the IRS. So in addition to the rules above, you are actually capped on what you can write off now as your travel expenses, which is this yacht or this luxury water travel. Okay. Oh, there we go. This is the third international travel rule, luxury water travel. So the IRS publishes a table for the daily expense you can write off on your luxury water travel. And that's the maximum that you can take, like sort of like a per diem for international travel by water. For example, again, New York to London for 14 days, you take the ocean liner. The cost for your 6-day cruise from New York to London, so it's not technically a cruise, it's just travel, right? You're just trying to get to London. It's $6,200 to do that. But on the IRS table, their daily limit is $796. So you can only write off $47.76 of that cruise, okay, which is 6 days times the $796. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, that's luxury water travel. Pretty straightforward, just that per diem, it's math. There are different, the IRS publishes this schedule. So there are different times of the year when those numbers are different. So if you can plan your trip when the IRS table is higher, you might be able to have more savings. They may make it higher because the cruise lines are higher, but I don't know. I've never taken luxury water travel before. Okay, now instead we're going to go to a conference. Okay, we talked about all these fun conference opportunities. Let's do conferences and see what we can do. Okay. The fourth international travel rule. The IRS knows we are likely to take advantage of these rules if we can travel abroad for just anything. Okay, so they set some guardrails around conferences. Just think if I'm licensed in Washington State. Let's say the Washington State Bar Association held a CLE in Tokyo. It'd be awesome to go to. It'd be great if you could write it off. But the IRS is not full of dummies. Okay, so they have some rules around this. 2-part test, basically. Number one, part one, it must benefit your business. Duh. Also very, very broad. Okay, I listed earlier all the different ways that your business could be benefited by going to conferences, and it's 100% true, all of those things. Okay. And part two, though, it must be as reasonable to hold the meeting outside the North American area as inside of it. Okay. So it must be as reasonable to go out of the country as it is to stay in the country. All right, so there's two definitions that we have to cover here. One is reasonableness. One is what the heck is the North American area. So for reasonableness, there's just several factors that you have to take into account when you're trying to prove to the IRS that it was reasonable for you to go to Tokyo, for example. Okay. Number one is going to be the purpose of the meeting and the activities taking place. So if the Washington State Bar Association had a CLE in Tokyo, I don't know if the purpose of the meeting necessitates you going to Tokyo. All right. Unless you were doing maybe some, Pacific Asian international trade type of a thing, and the speakers were from there or something like that. Okay. But if you're doing a criminal defense CLE in Tokyo, probably not going to fly. Okay. Conference on international estate planning is probably going to work. A conference on Washington estate planning, probably not so good because you could just as easily have it here. It's just more reasonable to have it here in Washington than it is in Tokyo. So again, and then this is number two reasonable factor, purpose and activities of the sponsoring organizations and groups. So if like I said here, if the conference is sponsored by the International Estate Planning Association, which I don't think is a real thing, that would help. That would help in this reasonableness determination. If the Washington Bar Association sponsored it, not as good. Okay. Number three, homes of the active members of sponsoring organizations and places and places other meetings have been held. Okay, so if we're using this International Estate Planning Association, so if the active members of the International Estate Planning are all over the world, then it makes sense and it is reasonable to have conferences all over the world. If the International Estate Planning Association has in the past held conferences all over the world, again, it is reasonable to go to Tokyo for this conference. All right, and then 4 is just other relevant factors. Basically, you can throw anything that you want at the wall and see if it sticks to the IRS. Okay, definition number 2 is North American area. It's basically all of North America, okay? Which is actually kind of a good thing because what does this mean? It's not considered international travel to go to a conference in the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, Canada, obviously. You don't have to follow all these rules to go there. It is just considered a reasonable exercise to go there. You already passed that test. It just needs to be for a business purpose to go anywhere in the North American area. So instead of going to Bismarck, North Dakota for your CLE, why don't you go to Puerto Vallarta? Okay, so that's nice. It is nice. Special note, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning. You can't write your family off for any of this travel. Okay, even if you think, oh, my wife is my bookkeeper, I'm going to take her along. First of all, your wife shouldn't be your bookkeeper. We should be your bookkeeper. Okay, let's say she's an admin person or a marketing person, doesn't matter. If they don't have a very specific reason to be there, you're going to run into problems if you're trying to write off, particularly for a conference, for example, travel with your family members. Okay, if you are doing travel for like a family board meeting, it's a little bit different, but then going international is trickier. Okay, so family trips are going to be hard. You can take them with you and they can stay in your hotel room and you still get to write your hotel room all the way off, but you can't write their airfare off. Okay, you can't write their meals off, that type of stuff. Okay, last but not least, we're getting into the 5th category for the IRS international travel rules. And this is the IRS's least favorite conference site. Cruise ships. Okay, I've never been on a cruise ship before. I've never been on a cruise. My parents go on them all the time. Friends go on them all the time. They apparently are a blast. I've never been. Okay, and the IRS doesn't really want you trying to write off cruises for business. You're going to find out here really quickly about this. Okay, so first, what is a cruise ship? A cruise ship is any ship that sails. Very broad. They just don't want you out there on the boat. Okay. The maximum deduction for a cruise ship conference is $2,000 a year. It doesn't matter if it's 1 day or 10 days. It doesn't matter. 2K is the max. Okay. To qualify for this write-off, you're going to need to do the following. Okay. And I told you the IRS hates cruises, so get ready for this list. Number 1, the convention must be directly related to your business. Makes sense. Perfect. Easy so far. Number 2, the cruise ship must be registered in the U.S. I think what they're trying to say is you can't go take an international cruise for your conference. Okay. 3, all ports of call must be in the U.S. Again, they're trying to limit where you can go on these cruises. Number 4, here's where the fun starts. Okay. You must attach a written statement signed by you to your income tax return that provides the following: the total days of your trip, the number of hours you used on business, and a program of your business activities or of the business activities. But it doesn't stop here. Okay, you also must attach to your income tax return a signed statement by the officer of the organization that says the following. Okay, I told you the IRS hates cruises. First, a schedule of business activities for each day. And second, the number of hours that you specifically attended those business activities. Okay. Now, my guess is if you actually take a cruise and it's for some kind of CLE or for some business purposes, they'll have this information available for you, but you got to keep it. You got to attach it to your tax return or it's not going to count. Okay, so just follow the steps, get the write-off. Don't follow the steps, you're not going to get the write-off. Okay. All right, that's it. Everything you need to write off your next international trip. Okay. As a reminder, to make it easy, I made a checklist for you, bigbirdaccountings.com/training. Go check that out. There's a bunch of other fun stuff there as well. And a reminder, you can try to figure this out on your own, or you can get someone on your team to tell you exactly what to do to make it easy. Okay. I'd love you to consider us if you're looking for help. We have expert bookkeeping, expert tax strategy, affordable flat fee investments. If you want to chat, Big Bird Accounting. Okay, that's it. Safe travels. See you.